Sometimes labeled a horror comedy or documentary, Get Out is a film that deals with the idea that we live in a supposedly post-racial world and speaks to our current PC culture. Director Jordan Peele was vocal via Twitter to explain the context of the film's imagery as it relates to systematic racism. The Guess Who's Coming to Dinner sequence in the beginning of the film sets us up for the ignorance and seemingly lack of self-awareness of many of the white characters, only to morph into a nightmare centered on race and body politics. Chris Washington is the protagonist of Get Out, who is going to meet his girlfriend's family for the first time. Chris is a successful and respected photographer from New York. He is painfully aware of the absurdness of racism and discrimination which is prevalent in our culture. For example, the police officer who asked for his ID after the accident with the deer. Yet he makes conscious decisions to break from stereotypes. He is also a keenly observant person and creates his own meaning through his photos. The villain of Get Out is racism, but it's portrayed by Rose. Rose embodies a seemingly harmless white person who could become a threat. Oblivious to her privilege and accidentally offensive, Rose, who initially appears to be Chris's closest ally, is revealed to be a true villain who hunts Chris down with a shotgun. In some of the key scenes where the Armitage neighborhood is checking out Chris, Rose suspiciously ignores the racist comments Chris endures. Chris and the audience continue to ignore her odd behavior until Chris finds photos in her closet, proving that she acts as a lure for her family's nefarious body-snatching ring. In Get Out, there are themes and imagery that help us connect with the film's concepts. The sunken place is an altered state in which Rose's mother, Missy, sends Chris during her unsolicited hypnosis session. This is a place where Missy has total control over Chris. The meaning behind this imagery is the marginalization of African Americans. The idea is no matter how much a marginalized person complains or attempts to break away, there are institutions that keep people silent. Missy sends Chris to the sunken place using his mother's death as a catalyst. This is a weak spot in Chris's mental armor and gives Missy the opportunity to subjugate Chris to the sunken place. The helplessness that Chris experienced during and after this encounter mimics the hopelessness a person feels living in a system that ignores their marginalization. The sunken place is a terrible place to be trapped. Perspective is a revealing theme throughout Get Out. Our society trusts things we see in film and to a lesser degree in photos. Chris often views others through his camera. There's an emphasis placed on eyes and on his point of view. It is through his camera that he finds Logan, another black man but not related to the Armitage family, at the neighborhood party. It's Logan's eyes that give the audience a sense that something is very wrong. When speaking to Jim at this party, we see Chris visibly relax around the blind art dealer. Although Chris feels like he may have connected with someone who doesn't judge him based on his skin color, later we find out that Jim is just as twisted as the rest of the creepy cast. Jim is a comment on the well-meaning colorblind collective. These people might say things like, "I don't see color, I just see you." But isn't that just ignoring the baggage that comes along with being a non-white American? Lastly, the larger plot is revealed. Rich old white people who want to use the bodies of younger black people for their so-called physical superiority. The first example of this is Rose's grandfather. There is a point made to use sports as the first catalyst for body snatching. Rose's grandfather lost to Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympics, which is his excuse for stealing somebody else's body. But not just anybody, somebody he sees as physically superior. Get Out is a reflection of the ugly aspects of our society. Racism and discrimination are often ignored and dismissed, but that does not diminish the story of the hundreds of thousands of people who have to live with the consequences. Stories like Get Out are unique, but not because most people do not experience racism. It is not a story that we are often told through movies or TV. At the time that Get Out was released, it challenged us to face the ideals that many people thought were relics of the past. Looking back on it now, it is not impossible to see that victories of the past did not erase the racism and discrimination that is alive in our culture today.